Today's episode is going to be AITAH, otherwise known as Am I the A-Hole? You and I are going to be judging our anonymous peers anonymously through the lens of we don't know the full context of these people's lives, okay? That's the truth. But we are going to be doing our darndest to see kind of how it all stacks up and shakes up against our own. All right, so the first story is going to be... Hey, real quick, I want to give a shout out to GhostVPN for sponsoring this video and helping to support my channel. With over 38 million users worldwide, it is one of the best VPNs out there, so let me quickly tell you why CyberGhost is such a great choice. If you don't know, a VPN is essential for protecting your digital privacy. Plenty of eyes are watching you every time you go online, and even incognito mode doesn't prevent that. Even your home Wi-Fi router can track what you're doing online, and that is where CyberGhostVPN comes in. Simply select one of their over 100 locations before you browse to encrypt and reroute all of your traffic through their secure servers. This way, no one will ever know about your online activity. CyberGhost also unlocks geo-restricted games and content from over 40 streaming platforms like Netflix, you got Amazon Prime, and Disney Plus, and you can even score better deals online by simply changing your virtual location. It works on all major devices and operating systems, Windows, Mac OS, Android, iOS, and you can protect up to 7 devices at the same time, which is perfect for sharing with your friends and family. With my link in the description, you're getting their best deal ever, just $2.03 a month, plus 4 months for free, which is 84% off. There's even a 45-day money-back guarantee, so you got nothing to lose, my friend. So big thanks to them, big thanks to you, and now back to the video. All right, so the first story is gonna be AITAH for hiding the fact that my youngest son is biologically ours. So me, 48, my wife, 46, both came from a culture where arranged marriages are common. And that's how we got together. We were arranged into our marriage when we were 18 and 20. Whoa, 30 years ago. I can go into more details about it if asked, but I'm not sure it's super relevant to the post. We both wanted kids. However, my wife has a medical condition that made it very hard for her to get pregnant. And because of the arranged nature of our marriage, we didn't exactly feel too keen on repeatedly trying. So when we're financially stable and old enough, we adopted our first son when he was 3, now 26, our daughter, now 22, and a year later, she was a newborn. About 3 years later, my wife unexpectedly got pregnant after we drunkenly hooked up with each other, and that resulted in our youngest son, now 19. When my wife got pregnant with our youngest son, we purposefully hid this from our families. They had for years pressured us to try fertility treatments to have a child that would truly belong to us, and we knew if they found out that our youngest was biologically ours, they'd never treat our other children the same. Okay, this right here is the most important sentence in the story. We hid her pregnancy and told our families we adopted the other baby. Only a few friends and select members knew about the pregnancy. All of my children also know about this. Okay, so the kids know that is their, bio sibling and well, I guess not bio sibling. The kids know that this is like the actual biological offspring of their parents. That might feel strange to the other kids, I don't know. My father, 69, nice, was talking with me and my cousin, 47-year-old male, who knows about the pregnancy, about how he was always disappointed that I never gave him a proper grandchild, and he was still holding out hope until last year when my wife turned 45. I told him he has 3 grandchildren through me, and he just grumbled about how it wasn't the same. My cousin in private says he thinks it's a bit of an a-hole move to still hide it from him because he's getting older, and it's not like he can treat the kids much differently from one another now that they are all grown. I don't think I'm an a-hole, but I'm curious what Reddit thinks. Edited to add, me and my wife are not Indian, so please stop with all the racist messages and comments about Indian culture. Okay. So, is it... I don't know. Ultimately, up to you. That's your decision. If you really think that your parents are going to treat the other kids differently, then yeah, don't, keep it from them. Who cares? Like, their track record. I don't. Nobody here knows. My instinct, my gut reaction is like, yeah, it would come out eventually. Like, it's going to come out from one of the kids. It's going to come out from one of the friends. Like, it's going to slip through the cracks eventually. I think ultimately the big issue we're looking at here is if grandfather finds out that one of these kids is a bio kid, he's then going to treat the others as lesser than, and that's not good. You want to prevent that as much as possible. Because you got kids who are 26 and 22. Yeah, you don't want them to feel, they're grown now. They're grown up. So they could probably handle a little bit of like discomfort, I guess. But also, it is an interesting story that you finally had a successful pregnancy. So I could see the appeal behind telling them, just sharing this information. But if you're doing this to protect your other kids, then yeah, protect your kids. Not the a-hole right there when your father showed why it was a good idea for you to hide the pregnancy. Yep, he absolutely can and will treat them differently up to the point of inheritance, if there is any. Yo, I didn't even think of that. That's exactly what I was thinking. Gramps is of sound enough mind that he can change his will to disinherit the adopted children and refuse to be in their lives / invited to family functions, etc. because he still doesn't think they're real family. That is so crazy, dude. If I was a grandparent and I had adopted grandbabies, of course, you're my grandbaby. What are you talking about? Since you were 3 years old, you know, a little 3-year-old kid, I would be so jazzed. Give me all the babies, dude. I'll be the grandpa to all the babies. It's not like he can treat the kids much differently from one another now that they're all grown, except he could. He could give them more inheritance or help them out financially or any other number of things. Do not tell this man, or else your older kids will be treated different. They don't deserve that. It will also burden your youngest being put in the middle, NTA. Yeah. Go ahead and tell your father on his deathbed that you have his biological child. Just don't tell him which child. This is the absolute best answer. Whoa! Yeah, everybody's saying good on you for protecting your kids. And then Op replied, they said, thank you. We've done our best to raise our children without the toxic parts of our culture while also raising them to appreciate the good parts. No arranged / forced marriages for our children. I wonder what culture this is. Just out of curiosity, I wonder what it is. But like a lot of arranged marriages last really long time, but maybe that's not correlation. Maybe correlation doesn't equal causation there. Maybe it's just if you're the subject of an arranged marriage, chances are you don't see divorce as an option. You successfully hid her pregnancy from everyone? Bravo on that alone. And yeah, if this is real, you're doing the right thing. People are insane when it comes to bio / genes and kiddos. So damn sad. And then Op replies, I said, it was quite easy. My wife had a back-facing uterus, so she hardly showed. That's crazy. Plus, she always liked wearing oversized clothes. So when she did start to get a little bump about 2/3 of the way through, it was easy to hide. That and my family didn't visit that often. Crazy, dude. Human body's so wild, dude. No two people experience the exact same thing all the time. You know, it's just nuts. Yeah, everybody is saying protect your kids here. And yeah, that ultimately makes sense. If you're a parent, you do your best to protect your kids from being treated unfairly. And your dad seems in the position to treat your children very unfairly. AITH, because I took my mask off when I was sick. My wife and I were traveling and I happened to catch COVID. We had no option but to travel home with me being sick. But I could see this boomer staring at me and I knew he was itching to say something about my mask. Eventually, he worked up the courage. He walked over to where I was and sat down next to me and started telling me all about how masks were ineffective and I shouldn't be scared of catching a cold at the airport, immunities, blah, blah, blah. All the regular BS that they say. My understanding is that masks help prevent you from spreading anything. Not really on the receiving end. This is really funny. He says, I pulled the mask down, leaned in, looked him in the face, and then said, I have COVID and I'm trying to not get everyone else sick. My wife says that I'm the a-hole for pulling the mask down and talking to him so close when I knew I was sick. I say, F him. Edit, people keep asking what he did. He just kind of looked at me with a smug look and walked away. I'm not sure he even believed me. He looked at me with a smug look and walked away. So you lean in, I have COVID. And then you put it down and him going, what's a smug look? Getting up and walking away. All right, well, I mean, hey, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, right? But that aside, like masks are useful for myriad reasons. Going up to somebody and telling them to stop doing what they're doing when it has no effect on you whatsoever, waste of time. You're wasting your time. Okay? It's not going to stop anybody. The flip side of that is probably you go up to an older gentleman such as this, and he's wearing a MAGA hat. He's wearing like a red hat, and you don't like that. And you walk up to him and be like, could you take that hat off, please? You know that his policies aren't fair. You think that's gonna work? Of course not. There's nothing you can say to that guy that's gonna cause him to take his hat off. There's nothing, because it's a belief system. People who wear masks, they've established a belief. They're going out there. But this situation is really interesting because this guy is challenging your belief directly. This guy says, I have COVID and I don't want to get anyone else sick. And that is a very clear, very immediate way to teach that other person to mind their own business and leave him alone. Because this dude should know better. Yeah, you don't have to worry about getting sick. He just didn't consider his options. Now, the truth is, say that this man was somehow immunocompromised, and And if he is, then he should be wearing a mask and, not be so brazen and approaching strangers at an airport. But if this man is close with somebody who's immunocompromised, let's say his mom is, or, somebody in his life is getting treatment and he's acting like this, he's going to have a really bad consequence if this is a strain of COVID that could take him down, or if he's diabetic or has breathing problems or whatever. This is going to hurt. This is going to suck, and he's going to learn his lesson here. In one way or another, he's going to learn his lesson here. Does this make Op the a-hole? I don't know. I feel like we come across this time and time again. It's people usually only learn through the consequences of their actions, and someone's going to teach you eventually. And this guy's older, and he's probably hard to get through. So this is probably meeting him right at his level. Does that make you an a-hole? I don't know. Oh well, it already happened. Let's see what the comments say. I don't know. I'm not really leaning strongly one direction or the other. I understand why the wife feels this way, but but it does also feel pretty good, doesn't it? Let's read some of these comments. NTA, the person who cuts my hair has worn one since COVID. Said before COVID, she was always sick with a cold or a cough, always something. Now since wearing a mask while working, never gets sick. Wishes would have been doing it their whole hair cutting career. The person who cuts me hair. I read the rest of your comment. Oh, the person who cuts me hair. I read the rest of your comment in a pirate voice, and that's what they originally said. I just corrected it with my mouth. It's the best life hack I've ever discovered. Wearing a mask and gloves out in the world since COVID. No more colds and flu. In Japan, they've been doing this for years out of courtesy to their fellow man. What a concept! I wore a mask to take my cat to the vet today because I've got a cold, and she commented how considerate it was of me. I just wish that the person who gave it to me had the sense to wear a mask. This person says, my eye doctor now wears an N95 every day. I am 9 months pregnant and had an eye exam yesterday. I am so incredibly grateful for him taking that initiative. I'm fully vaccinated against everything I can be. It was so respectful of him to make sure he was protecting me and other patients. They are so up close in people's faces. It is so smart. NTA, he believes masks don't work, so it shouldn't affect him at all. The reply to that before the edit says, hey, I just want to say I agree with this sentiment 100%, but we should try to keep in mind that that idiotic boomer may very well now be infected and, thanks to his moronic beliefs, will likely spread illness to far too many people. That's true, too. You're not just giving it to that guy. You're having him be a super spreader, if that's, that's how you see it. I think sometimes we have to bite the bullet and try to do what we can to help save them from themselves. That's the other consequence. You are giving it to this guy, but you're making sure he carries it throughout the rest of the airport or whatever, It's it undoes the purpose initially, right? He's about to go on a plane, isn't he? And be in close proximity to people. I think this is an F around and find out moment. He came into your space and basically told you to take off the mask, except that this asshole definitely won't wear a mask, so other people will suffer if he gets sick. Okay. So let's do an analogy here. You have a knife, right? Little kid comes up to you and says, hey, can I play with that knife? And you're like, no. And little kid's like, I want to play with that knife because I believe I can. And you, knowing better, go, all right, play with that knife, hoping that this kid with a knife gets hurt, right? But you forget that the knife is pointed out most of the time. And if this kid's running around, he could very easily hurt other people. And that's kind of what you did. You let this kid run away with a knife. Yeah, it feels good not to let a kid run away with a knife. Let me be clear about that. But it feels good. You're sticking it to the man, right? You're like, okay, well, if that's your belief system, then let's figure this out. Surprise microphone. Bet you didn't even know I could do that, did you? Wow, this audio quality is a lot different now. I just wanted to show you that I had this surprise microphone, okay? I'm gonna go back to the good mic here, but I just wanted you to see it. Next story, AITAH for questioning my engagement after my fiance got mad at me for drinking while, quote unquote, pregnant. Sorry if this is long. I just need opinions. I can't tell if I'm being dramatic about this. Okay, so I, 22-year-old female, recently got engaged to my fiance, 23-year-old male. Y'all are young. Where y'all at? Utah? I feel like people in Utah get married young. I wonder what the statistics are. Where's the state with the youngest? Hold on. State with youngest married couples. Okay, let's see where the youngest married. It is Utah! Dude, it's Utah! 26! Slam dunk, dude, it is Utah. So the average age of getting married is 26. Oldest is California, 31.2. Okay. 30.1 Florida, 31.4. Okay, so we got about 31. The oldest average age per state is 31-ish. Or median age, sorry. Yeah, 31.2, 31.5, almost 32. Okay, so I, 22-year-old female, recently got engaged to my fiance, 23-year-old male. We are both still living at home to save money to eventually get our own place. I still live with my parents, but I stay at his place most nights because it's closer to work and just easier. So this New Year's Eve, we were at his parents' house with family and a few friends. Nothing crazy, just a normal family get-together. His aunt was passing out champagne to everyone and asked me if I wanted some. But before I could even respond, my fiance reached out and took the glass. I kind of thought it was weird, but I just ignored it because you can be oblivious sometimes. I ended up just going to the kitchen and pouring myself a drink. When I got back to the living room, he immediately noticed my drink and asked pretty loudly, "Is that alcohol?" I said yes. He started getting really upset. He said he couldn't believe I would do that he thought I was more responsible and I was being reckless. I was obviously confused and asked him what he's talking about. He said something like, "You're really gonna mess things up before they even start? You're going to hurt the baby." The room went quiet and I was so embarrassed. I was thinking he must be drunk or something. I asked, "What baby?" Wait, the room went quiet? So you were around other people? Dude. He said he knew I was pregnant and that he'd been trying to do the right thing. He said he found a pregnancy test in the bathroom weeks ago and that's why he's been watching what I eat and drink and why he proposed. He said he was stepping up. Then he said he didn't know if he had made a mistake, if this was the kind of mother I was going to be. How do you not follow up on this? How are you not following up? And also, what's the pregnancy? I want to hear about this. Hold on. I was literally so shocked and humiliated. I told him I'm not pregnant, but he just told me I don't need to lie. I am not pregnant. I ended up leaving and coming to my parents' house that night. I haven't been to his place since. He keeps trying to reach out to talk to me about it, but I'm not ready. That brings us to last night. My fiance's mom messaged me and asked me to come over and talk. She says relationships take effort and I shouldn't ruin my relationship over a little misunderstanding. Is it a little misunderstanding? He thought you were pregnant and did not address it at all. I don't know what to do. I love my fiance, but I can't stop thinking if he never thought I was pregnant, would he even have proposed to me? I'm really rethinking the whole relationship. AITA. I don't know. Let's read this update here. So a bunch of comments are asking about the pregnancy test my fiance found. I don't know why I didn't even question that when he said it. I would think I was just in shock. I've never taken a pregnancy test at his house, so I don't know if he saw something and thought it was a test or if he's being crazy and making it up. What? You never took a pregnancy test there? I just messaged his mom back and said, I'm going over there to talk and figure out what I want to do. I do really like his family and I still love my fiance or boyfriend. I don't know what to call him now. He's never really done things to make me worry before, so I want to at least listen before I throw everything away. I posted the recent update to Redditor updates. Is there another update? There is an update. Okay. So before we go to that update, let's just read some of the comments here. The top comment says, bigger question, who in your house is pregnant? Because obviously he's not ready for marriage or kids if he is going to find something like that and not have an actual conversation with you. Yeah, he should have talked to you about that. Dude, if I saw a freaking pregnancy test, you think I wouldn't bring that up immediately if it were positive? You gotta be like, hey, what the hell is this? Let's talk about this for a second, huh? And not try to, make it easy with like a proposal and just like avoiding the biggest conversation of your life. As such, you do not need to be with him. And then this reply here says probably a COVID test. This would be absolutely hilarious. And we've all seen the memes of like a COVID test being misinterpreted as a freaking pregnancy test. I mean, it could be that. And then we got somebody saying, NTA, do not marry this man. Think about this. He knows you live in a house with other people and at least one of them is also a woman, yet he automatically assumes that something he found in a shared home trash can belongs to you. He does zero due diligence, just assumes and creates a whole story in his head about you being pregnant. True. Because of this, without even trying to have a single conversation with you about it, he unilaterally decides what he thinks is right for the both of you, that he is going to try to step up by silently and sneakily controlling what you eat and drink. Then to top it off, he proposed to you, not because he wants to, but because he essentially feels forced to. And that's all we really need to read about that. I mean, yes, that makes sense, but also y'all are young and dumb, okay? No offense, you're 22, 23. I was 22, 23 once, I get it, but you try to step up and be a man if you think the woman of your dreams is pregnant, like you think crazy things, you do crazy things. That's what I mean. You're doing the best you can with what you have at the time. I'm doing the same now, and I'm gonna think I'm really stupid 10 years from now. You know what I'm saying? Again, rather than trying to have a singular private conversation with you, the supposed soon-to-be mother of his child and future wife, he instead decides to out, shame, and embarrass you in front of his family and friends and admits in front of all of them that he is only marrying you out of perceived obligation to step up. Then instead of actually listening to you, he doubles down when you tell him that you aren't pregnant and sends his mommy after you when you don't come groveling back and asking for forgiveness. Yikes. That's true. He did say, what kind of mother are you going to be in front of other people? Like, that's insane. He immediately is not on your side when you're getting champagne. That's not a partner in that situation, right? He doesn't see you as an equal. He doesn't respect you. Can that be changed through conversations and maybe therapy and assessing what both of your values are? Maybe. But let's get to this update. I know you're curious. Yesterday, I went over to my boyfriend's house and it did not go as expected. I honestly don't even know what I was expecting, but after reading some of your comments about whose test it was or if it even was a pregnancy test, I had to find out. My boyfriend was really happy to see me when I got there. I don't think his mom told him I was coming. He seemed really genuine and kept apologizing. His mom asked to sit us down and she started crying and saying she doesn't want to ruin our relationship and she loves both of us and wants the best for us. Then she shows us a sonogram. It was his mom's test. What? Okay, I'm going back to the original post here. My fiance's mom messaged me and asked me to come over and talk. She says relationships take effort and I shouldn't ruin my relationship over a little misunderstanding. Oh, okay. So she wanted you to come over and talk. She didn't want to clarify it over text. She wanted you to come over and talk because she was the, it was the misunderstanding that she kind of accidentally triggered. Nothing wrong with what the mom did. She took a pregnancy test and put it in the trash can. She's allowed to do that in her own freaking house, dude. But she's like, oh God, oh no, I'm ruining my kid in their in a potential in-law's life. That's gotta be a crazy feeling as a mom. Literally all of this stupid drama because my boyfriend is an idiot. He said he didn't think his mom could get pregnant anymore because she was in her 40s, so the only other possibility was for it to be mine, but he didn't want to ask me so I could tell him myself. And then this says, I love surprising people, so honestly that does make sense. But like, it had been weeks. He could have said something after all that time. Okay. Yeah, if you're pregnant with somebody's baby, I think you got a 1 week window to tell them. I think you got a week. After that, it's like, tell me, oh my God, are you gonna tell me or not? Yeah, I don't know. This is funny. I like this story. The guy is silly. He's dumb, and who knows? Maybe he's the wrong guy, and he's young. Hopefully he learns past this and reads these comments or something and sees that story and is like, oh yeah, you know what? I should have been more upfront about that. This is a big deal. This is a big life deal. When big life deals happen, you talk about it. His mom said she didn't say anything at the party because she didn't know what she was going to do yet and didn't want everyone at the party finding out. Okay, I'm seeing all the crossed wires here. What a story, dude. But it still bothers me that she let me take the embarrassment instead, or at least tell us after in private instead of letting us not talk for over a week. Took over a week for her to come to you. Okay. I do kind of feel bad now that my boyfriend really thought I was pregnant and thought I wasn't taking it seriously. I talked to him about the engagement, and if he meant what he said about stepping up, he said he had already had the ring for a while. I like this. That's okay. That helps, right? It helps. A guy with a ring, that's intent. Intent. So we're gonna keep reading. It says he said he had already had the ring for a while, but was waiting for the right time. And when he saw the test, he thought of it as a sign, and he got excited thinking of us as a little family. This is cute. It's silly. It's silly that he didn't bring it up before. Yes. Irresponsible. He's trying to control your eating, control blah, blah, blah. This dude was frazzled. He was waiting for her to tell him the secret. Through that lens, I will give him a pass, although a lot of you probably will not. Dude thought he really believed that this woman was pregnant and she was going to surprise him. And in the meantime, he already had the ring. He wanted to get his life started with her. Young, 23, and young is not a hall pass for everything, by the way. I want to be clear about that. Being young is not a hall pass for everything. But this guy who thinks he's about to be a new father, and he just, that can do some things to you, I assume. He says he only said what he said at the party in the heat of the moment, thinking I was someone who would risk our baby like that, and he didn't actually mean it. I think I believe him. Oh, right, he did use some heightened language, didn't he? Yeah, he said the baby's why he proposed. He said he was stepping up, that he didn't know if he made a mistake, if this was the kind of mother I was going to be. That's what he said. In his world, she was pregnant. He should have communicated that. They should have had a conversation about it before this big to-do. Bad timing, and he needs to learn from this mistake. You do get a little bit of grace in relationships to make a big mistake or two, or a medium-sized mistake or two. This is one of those things where he better learn from it if they're going to have a chance. Everybody makes mistakes in relationships when you're with somebody else, and if that is addressed and brought up and promised to change, then do that. So I think I believe him as far as like what he said was in the heat of the moment. As of now, we aren't engaged anymore, but we are still together. I told him we really need to work harder on communication if we want to make our relationship last. Yes, but don't just say communication. Get real specific about it. You got to get granular about this stuff, dude. You know, guys, we need specifics. We need, hey, the next time you think something big is happening or you think I want to surprise you over a big life thing, you have to talk to me about it because I'm not going to know. And I'm, if there's another misunderstanding like this, it's going to suck. And also, I don't want you talking to me that way in front of family, in front of friends. You know, if there's something you think I'm keeping from you and we haven't addressed it, you better address it before you do it in public. That kind of thing. Be very clear about this because guys are slow to learn these social things. We are. It's just a thing. You got to be specific. And this is me trying to help y'all out as far as, these guys need help. We're slow on the uptake, okay? It's just what it is. A lot of comments were saying he's a red flag and stuff, and I can see where you're coming from, but this was really the only time he's been like that. I think his intentions were sweet, but came off wrong. Also, a lot of people are saying we are too young to get married, but my parents got married young and are still together, so I think it depends. If we do get engaged again, I told him to actually wait until he's ready and not when he thinks he needs to. Okay, so this is their relationship. If this were a movie in the early 2000s, people would be like, that's funny. What a misunderstanding. A little rom-com moment. People have different understandings of reality, and then a problem happens, and then, it's a rising action. The climax is the big fight. They break up, and then they get back together again, whatever. And then they 30 years later, they send their kids off on a train to Hogwarts. I don't know if that's the same movie. From the outside looking in, yeah, there's problems with the communication. But I believe that people can change. Not everybody thinks that, but I believe people can change when they're given a critical point in their lives. This guy got excited about a family. He got excited about his wife. He outstretched and overreached and overdid it and was, kind of a jerk in the meantime. But this is a critical point. It's a catalyst for change. Can he change from this? Yes or no? If yes, they have a chance. If no, if he can't change and she senses that he's not changing, you think you're a new father, you're going to be a little nuts if your fiance is not coming out about it. I imagine. I'm probably being too sympathetic to the guy, but I'm trying to be realistic here, dude. I mean, wouldn't you go insane waiting for your partner to tell you that they're pregnant? I would, but I would also bring it up. That's the other side of that coin. Y'all need to experience living without your parents before you move in together. I forgot about that. That's true. You don't want to be a substitute mom. Yup, in this day and age, housing is so expensive, but if possible, everyone should live alone or with roommates before they get married. And let's see what this comment says. We're going to get an apartment together. I don't think we will get engaged anytime soon, but I want to make sure we can live together first now, especially after reading all the comments I'm getting. I think I always forgot how young we still are because I went straight to working after high school and didn't do university. We've also been together since I was 19. If he can disrespect you once in front of a crowd, he can do it again and again. This is not him being impulsive. This is him showing who he really is when things go down south. You'll be alone when you'll really need a partner. Imagine an actual pregnancy with this man. You are being naive, Op. Please don't let life teach you the hard way. You still have time. Again, this is coming from somebody who does not believe people can change with a big catalyst. I don't know. I mean, maybe. This person could be right. And it's up to you, Op, whether or not you want to stick with this guy. You've been together for 3 years. You're young. You could pair off and be with somebody else. And I'm not going to excuse people for doing like behavior you can't come back from. You know what I mean? Like proper emotional abuse type things. Like that's not good. If it's a part of this person, if it's a frequent repeated thing or if it's, whatever, even one time is too much. But ultimately, like, this was a very weird, unique situation that has to be treated uniquely. I don't know if him disrespecting you once in front of a crowd, this dude believed you were pregnant. And he did it silently once. He took away the champagne one time. Could he have addressed it? Yes. Should he have? Yes. In his mind, he was waiting for you to tell him. So he's got this internal friction, external friction. Dude, this guy, I don't know. And then, girl, you need to find someone who won't disrespect you or humiliate you in public. You don't even know who you are without them. It might sound scary, but find yourself, take the time. You're better than this. You're stronger than settling for the first guy to get into your head. Okay, I mean, you know, that's the majority of people's feelings. This is probably how you feel as well. And this guy will change. I think it's up to you, whether or not you want to give him that grace period. Good luck. You're both really young, and your boyfriend is impulsive. Proposed because he thought you were pregnant. He's got a lot of growing up to do. This is true. He does have a lot of growing up to do. I 100% agree with that. You're helping him regardless, because this is a big misunderstanding, and he needs to understand communication is a big deal. It's a lesson he has to learn. Do you want to be there with him while you're learning? His mom is pregnant now. She got the sonogram. This is a really funny story you can tell 20 years from now, as long as he changes his behavior. There's a lot of definitive, like, absolutist thinking out there of people can't change. And the truth is, it's not your job as a partner to change your partner. And if you're young, that's when you can, like, branch off and you can learn and you can date other people and you can go, oh, you know what? Maybe I like this kind of guy or that kind of guy, blah, blah, blah. But if his track record up until now has been clean, and he really believed you were pregnant, that would make a guy go insane if he saw you drinking, right? Like, I mean, I don't know. Everybody here is dunking on this guy, and I get it. I expect him to take a hop, skip, and jump to conclusions. And then this is a bit more of a measured response. It says, I would be very careful in the future if you're set on making it work, because I feel like she is. He practically snatched a glass out of your hand, making a decision for you, and then publicly outed you and shamed you in a horribly upsetting manner after you stood up for yourself. He's all lovey-dovey now with the misunderstanding is cleared up, and it's obviously easier for you to go along with apology and a resumption of the relationship rather than the opposite. Hold on, wait, more context, hold on. I think there is one thing here that I am forgetting that is a crucial piece of information. You asked, what baby? He said, I know that you're pregnant. And then you said, I am not pregnant. And then he said, you don't need to lie. So he locked into and sealed that information and was holding on to that information even though you gave him the truth. So that is tough. It's more than tough. Yeah, now I'm siding with the other people. I don't know. I think he does have some growing up to do. Ultimately, it's up to you. I don't know what your relationship looks like. You know, you could have shared interests, shared values, shared life goals, shared religious beliefs, shared, you know, you love the family, they love your family, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of things that we don't know about. Could be a freaking coin toss. There's a 50-50 chance, you know? If you decide to continue, hopefully he shows proof of change. I do still believe people can change. I'm probably going to get a lot of flack in the comments about this. I'm sorry. Hey, I came around to it, okay? I came around. I remembered the thing, the big problem. In my head, I'm seeing this as like a Hugh Grant, Sandra Bullock rom-com in the early 2000s, and how that would be a funny situation in a rom-com. But when it's real life, you know, you see Hugh Grant and Sandra Bullock. She's like, I'm not pregnant. Yes, you are. I saw the test. She's like, what are you talking about? What test? You're pregnant. I saw it. And she's like, I gotta go. I can see that movie. You can see the movie, but life ain't like that. Things that were fun in the early 2000s in a rom-com situation are now frowned upon. Let's dance for the outro. Big thanks again to GhostVPN for sponsoring this video. Their link is in the description. Thank you for supporting me and the channel. Okay, bye! What's the intent, girl? I said intent.